Sir, real veterans don't dress like homeless people. Show some respect or leave. The words cut through the morning chatter at Sunrise Coffee like a blade. Every conversation stopped. 23 customers turned to stare at the man in worn jeans and a faded hoodie standing at the counter. Marcus Thompson, 45, didn't flinch. He continued counting crumpled bills from his pocket, buying black coffee with loose change like he'd done this before. The police officer behind him, chest puffed, uniform pristine, repeated himself louder for the growing audience. I said move along, buddy. Real military has standards. Phones emerged from pockets. The barista's hands trembled as she live-streamed to her 3,000 TikTok followers. Comments flooded in. Get him! Stolen valor! Call the cops! Marcus smiled slightly, checking his watch. 10 minutes until his ride arrived. Have you ever been judged so harshly that people forgot you might be exactly who you claim to be? The accusation hung in the air like smoke from a grenade. Officer Bradley Martinez, 28, fresh from deployment, knew stolen valor when he saw it. This homeless-looking man was everything wrong with civilian disrespect for the uniform. Military ID now! Bradley's command cut through the coffee shop's morning buzz. Marcus Thompson set down his coffee cup. The ceramic clinked against the counter, a sound that somehow made the silence deeper. I don't carry it off duty. Wrong answer. Bradley stepped closer, his voice projecting to the entire shop. Stolen valor is a federal crime under the Stolen Valor Act of 2013, punishable by fines up to $100,000. 23 customers turned to watch. Phones appeared like flowers blooming in spring. Sarah Chen, 22, behind the counter, tilted her phone toward the confrontation. Her TikTok livestream counter jumped. 847, 1,200, 1,850 viewers in 30 seconds. Comments flooded her screen. Get him! My dad died in Iraq for this fake. Real veterans have pride. Marcus checked his watch. A glimpse of platinum caught the fluorescent light. 10 minutes, he murmured. What happens in 10 minutes? Bradley demanded. Marcus smiled. It wasn't friendly. My ride arrives. Derek Williams, construction foreman, stood from his corner booth. At 45, he'd sent 3 nephews overseas. This disrespect made his blood boil. Real military doesn't dress like vagrant trash, Derek announced to nods around the room. His wife Janet clutched her purse tighter. Our family sacrificed everything. This is sickening. Sarah's live stream exploded past 3,000 viewers. She whispered commentary. Guys, this stolen valor situation is getting crazy. Fake veteran says someone's picking him up in 10 minutes. Plot twist incoming? But something nagged at her. The man's posture, spine straight, feet positioned like he owned the ground beneath them. Her military dad stood exactly the same way. Manager Karen Phillips emerged from her office, drawn by the crowd energy. Military families represented 47% of her customer base. She couldn't appear weak on veteran issues. What's the situation? Karen asked, though the crowd's energy already told her everything. Bradley gestured at Marcus. Individual claims military service, refuses verification. Textbook stolen valor case. Karen studied Marcus with practiced disapproval. Homeless veteran aesthetic was bad for business, made real military families uncomfortable. Sir, we reserve the right to refuse service, Karen announced loudly. We support actual troops, not people who fake service for sympathy. Applause scattered through the coffee shop. Sarah's chat exploded. Finally! Respect our heroes! Throw him out! 4,500 viewers and climbing. Marcus reached into his jacket. The movement made Bradley's hand drift toward his service weapon. Instead, Marcus pulled out his phone. As he did, a boarding pass slipped partially free. First class, priority diamond status visible before he tucked it back. 3 customers caught the detail. Confusion flickered across their faces. Homeless people don't fly first class. Marcus's phone buzzed. Once, twice, 3 times in rapid succession. He ignored every call. 9 minutes, Marcus said, checking his Rolex Submariner again. The watch was worth more than Bradley's monthly salary. Bradley's confidence wavered for a microsecond, then surged back. Too much audience now. Too much pride at stake. That's it. I'm calling MP to report stolen valor. Bradley pulled out his phone, started dialing Fort Carson's military police. Marcus finished his coffee in one deliberate sip, set the cup down with surgical precision. The clink echoed. Officer Bradley Martinez, Marcus said quietly. Badge number 4477, Fort Carson Police Department. Enlisted March 15, 2019. Bradley's finger froze over his phone screen. How do you... Your service record shows 2 deployments. Afghanistan 2021, Kuwait 2022. Commendable. The coffee shop went dead silent. Sarah's live stream chat scrolled frantically. Wait, what? How does he know that? Plot twist. Bradley's face drained color. That information isn't public. Your commanding officer is Colonel Patricia Hayes. Your platoon sergeant was Staff Sergeant Rodriguez. You received a commendation for convoy escort duty. Impossible. That information was classified personnel data. Marcus checked his watch again. 8 minutes, Officer Martinez. The crowd sensed a shift. Phones stayed up, but uncertainty crept into their expressions. Sarah's viewer count hit 6,000. Bradley was drowning now, but the audience expected him to swim. Anyone can look up military records, he said weakly. Marcus's smile turned predatory. Can they look up your psychological evaluation from March 2023? The one recommending additional counseling for anger management issues? Bradley went white. Because that file was sealed, top secret, only accessible by... 7 minutes, Marcus said softly. And suddenly, Bradley realized he might have made a terrible mistake. Security guard Tommy Rodriguez materialized beside Bradley like smoke. Hand on radio, eyes scanning the crowd that had formed around one homeless-looking man. Situation report? Tommy asked. Bradley's voice carried new authority. 20,000 people were watching Sarah's live stream now. This was his moment to prove himself. Stolen valor case. Subject refuses military verification, shows signs of mental instability. Marcus checked his watch, that flash of expensive metal again. 6 minutes. Tommy keyed his radio. Dispatch, possible 1054 at Sunrise Coffee. Request backup for disorderly individual. Copy that, 247. Units en route. Sarah's live stream chat exploded. Backup coming? This is getting real. Homeless dude is cooked. 6 minutes until what, though? Viewer count, 22,000 and climbing. Manager Karen stepped forward, sensing the crowd's energy. Military families were 47% of her customer base. She couldn't appear weak on stolen valor. Sir, final warning. Show military ID or leave immediately. Marcus's phone buzzed. 4th call in 3 minutes. He glanced at the screen. Caller ID showed only a government seal icon, then declined it. Derek Williams moved closer, steel-toed boots heavy on tile. My nephew lost his leg in Fallujah. You're pissing on his sacrifice. More customers gathered. Morning coffee had become impromptu street justice. Janet Williams pulled out her own phone. I'm calling Fort Carson directly. They need to know about this fraud. Good idea, announced Rick Patterson, retired Air Force tech sergeant. He dialed the base on speakerphone for maximum audience impact. Marcus remained motionless except for one small action. He pulled his boarding pass slightly further out of his pocket. Just enough for the priority diamond text to be visible. 3 more customers noticed. Confusion flickered across their faces. 5 minutes, Marcus said calmly. Rick's call connected. Fort Carson, how may I direct your call? Stolen valor report, Rick announced loudly. Individual at Sunrise Coffee falsely claiming military service. Transferring you to security. Please hold. Hold music filled the coffee shop. Everyone stared at the speakers like they might reveal divine truth. Sarah whispered to her live stream, Guys, this is insane. The base is getting involved, but something feels off? Like, why is this dude so calm? Comments flooded her screen. Because he's delusional. Mental illness is real. Or maybe, nah, look at him. Marcus's phone rang again. Fifth call. This time he stared at the screen longer before declining. Bradley noticed the hesitation. Who keeps calling you? Your dealer? Laughter rippled through the crowd. Marcus smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. 4 minutes. The hold music stopped. Rick's call came back online. Security Department, Sergeant Morrison speaking. Describe the individual, please. Rick looked at Marcus. Male, approximately 45, homeless appearance, claims military background. Sir, can you provide his name? Rick turned expectantly to Marcus. The entire coffee shop held its breath. Marcus straightened slightly. For the first time, his posture shifted from relaxed to something else. Something that made Bradley take an unconscious step backward. Thompson, Marcus said quietly. Spell that, please. Thompson. Pause on the other end. First name? Marcus. The line went dead silent, not even hold music. And Sarah's chat went nuclear. They know the name. Plot twist incoming. Something's happening. 25K viewers now. 30 seconds of silence stretched like a wire about to snap. Finally, Sergeant Morrison spoke. His voice had completely changed. Formal, careful, respectful. Sir, please hold for my supervisor. The call transferred immediately. No hold music this time. Tommy's radio crackled. Unit 247, be advised. Stand down at Sunrise Coffee. Repeat, stand down until further notice. Tommy looked confused. Dispatch, I haven't even arrived yet. Negative contact with subject until advised. Command directive. Command directive? For a homeless guy? Marcus checked his watch again. 3 minutes. Bradley's confidence was melting like ice cream in July. Something was very wrong here. What happens in 3 minutes? Bradley demanded. Marcus's sixth call came in. This time he answered on the first ring. Thompson here. His voice had changed. Still calm, but now carrying something that made every person in the coffee shop feel suddenly small. Yes, sir. Situation is under control. Pause. Negative on disciplinary action. These are good people who made assumptions. Another pause. Grid coordinates 38.7589, 104.8011. Coffee shop on Boulder Avenue. How did he know military grid coordinates by heart? ETA 2 minutes? Copy that. Marcus ended the call and turned to face the crowd that had gathered to watch his humiliation. Ladies and gentlemen, he said quietly, you're about to learn something important about assumptions. Rick's speakerphone crackled back to life. This is Colonel Patricia Hayes, Fort Carson Base Command. To whom am I speaking? Bradley nearly fainted. His commanding officer. His actual commanding officer, speaking to a coffee shop full of people. Rick's voice shook. Ma'am, this is Rick Patterson, retired Air Force. We have what appears to be a stolen valor situation. Negative, Mr. Patterson. You have a case of mistaken identity. Is the individual still present? Every eye turned to Marcus. He raised one hand slightly. Present, Colonel Hayes. Are you injured or in distress? Negative. Just grabbing coffee before our Pentagon briefing. Pentagon briefing? Your transport is inbound. ETA 90 seconds. The line disconnected. In the stunned silence that followed, a new sound emerged from outside, distant at first, then growing stronger. The unmistakable rhythm of military helicopter rotors, getting closer. Sarah's live stream hit 30,000 viewers. Her hands trembled as she held her phone. Guys, she whispered, I think we made a mistake. I think we made a really, really big mistake. Marcus checked his watch one final time. 1 minute. The helicopter sound was directly overhead now, and Bradley finally understood that he hadn't caught a criminal. He'd cornered a predator. The Black Hawk helicopter settled onto the coffee shop's parking lot like a metal thunderbird claiming its territory. Rotor wash sent napkins and newspapers spiraling through the air. Car alarms shrieked in protest. 37 customers pressed against the windows, phones recording everything. Sarah's live stream exploded past 45,000 viewers. Comments moved faster than light. Military helicopter for a homeless guy? What is happening? This can't be real. Plot twist of the century. 2 soldiers in full combat gear emerged from the aircraft. They scanned the coffee shop, located Marcus through the window, and took flanking positions by the entrance. Marcus finished his last sip of air from the empty cup and set it down with surgical precision. "Time's up," he said. Bradley's world tilted sideways. Military helicopters didn't respond to stolen valor calls. They responded to national security threats, or to pick up very important people. Marcus walked toward the door with the measured pace of someone who'd never hurried for anyone in his life. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. "Wait," Karen stammered, her manager training finally kicking in. "Sir, I think there's been a misunderstanding." Marcus stopped, turned. For the first time, his expression wasn't amused. It was evaluative. "Ms. Phillips," he said quietly, "there's been no misunderstanding. You run a business that serves military families. You should know better." How did he know her name? She wasn't wearing a name tag. We support our troops." "Do you?" Marcus's voice cut through her stammering. "Officer Martinez here has served 2 tours overseas, honorable service record. Yet you questioned his authority because municipal police aren't real police in your opinion." Karen's face went white. She'd forgotten saying that. "Mr. Williams lost a nephew in Fallujah. Real sacrifice. Real grief. But he used that grief to justify attacking a stranger based on appearance alone." Derek shifted uncomfortably. The homeless man, who apparently wasn't homeless, had just psychoanalyzed him in 30 seconds. Marcus continued his quiet assessment. "Ms. Torres here has 50,000 Instagram followers. She saw content opportunity, not human dignity." Melissa lowered her phone, shame coloring her cheeks. "And Mr. Patterson," Marcus turned to the retired airman, "you called my commanding officer to report stolen valor without asking a single question first." Rick's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Marcus's phone rang. 7th call. This time he answered immediately. "Colonel Thompson?" The title hit the coffee shop like a physical blow. Colonel. Not homeless veteran, not stolen valor case. Colonel Marcus Thompson. Bradley's legs nearly gave out. He'd just spent 10 minutes humiliating a full-bird colonel. His career was over. "Yes, General Morrison," Marcus spoke into his phone. "The situation has been educational." General Morrison? Who was General Morrison? "No, sir, no formal complaints. Consider it a training exercise in unconscious bias." "Training exercise? ETA to Pentagon? Understood. We'll make the 0800 briefing." Pentagon. The actual Pentagon. Marcus ended the call and surveyed the crowd with clinical detachment. "Ladies and gentlemen, you've just participated in an unintentional social experiment. The results were illuminating." Sarah's live stream chat was having a collective nervous breakdown. "Colonel? We attacked a colonel. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Delete everything. Too late, it's viral. Viewer count. 52,000 and climbing." Marcus reached into his jacket and pulled out a slim black wallet. He opened it deliberately, letting everyone see the contents. Military ID, full bird colonel insignia, security clearance badges that made Rick Patterson's eyes widen in recognition. Top secret SCI access, Pentagon permanent access, Defense Intelligence Agency credentials. I've been serving this country for 23 years, Marcus said calmly. 3 combat deployments, 2 Purple Hearts, currently assigned to the Defense Infrastructure Planning Committee. He closed the wallet and tucked it away. I dress like this because comfort matters more than appearance when you're working 18-hour days. I pay with cash because military intelligence officers avoid electronic transaction patterns. I don't carry my ID off duty because operational security protocols prohibit unnecessary exposure of classified access badges. The coffee shop was morgue quiet, except for the helicopter's idling rotors. Every assumption you made about me was wrong. But more importantly, every assumption revealed something about you. Bradley wanted to disappear into the floor. His stolen valor accusations against an actual colonel would be in his permanent file, assuming he still had a career. Officer Martinez, Marcus addressed him directly. You served honorably overseas. You know what combat looks like. Did I ever act like someone pretending to be military? Bradley thought back. The posture, the calm under pressure, the way Marcus stood like he owned whatever ground he occupied. No. He'd acted exactly like a career officer. No, sir, Bradley whispered. Then why did you assume stolen valor? The question hung in the air like smoke. Because of the clothes, the beard, the appearance that didn't match Bradley's idea of what a colonel should look like. I made assumptions based on appearance, sir. Yes, you did. Marcus turned to address the entire coffee shop. This is the problem with unconscious bias. Good people, all of you are good people, make snap judgments based on incomplete information. Then you double down when challenged instead of questioning your assumptions. Sarah's live stream had hit 60,000 viewers. This wasn't just viral anymore. This was a cultural moment happening in real time. The homeless veteran you all saw doesn't exist. You created him in your minds and then attacked him for not meeting your expectations. Marcus walked toward the door where the 2 soldiers waited. I want to be clear. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. This country's strength comes from its diversity. When we judge people by their appearance rather than their actions, we weaken that strength. He paused at the threshold. Officer Martinez, you're a good cop who made a bad assumption. Learn from it. Ms. Phillips, you run a business that serves heroes. Treat them all like heroes, regardless of how they dress. And to everyone else, before you judge someone, ask yourself what you don't know about their story. Marcus stepped outside toward the waiting helicopter, but he wasn't done yet, because the biggest revelation was still coming. The 2 soldiers snapped to attention as he approached. One of them spoke into his radio. Phoenix is mobile. Estimated arrival Pentagon, 0745 hours. Phoenix. That was Marcus's code name. Sarah's live stream chat exploded with questions. Phoenix? Why does he need a code name? What's the Pentagon meeting about? Who is this guy really? Marcus paused at the helicopter door and turned back to the coffee shop one final time. For those watching online, he said, loud enough for Sarah's phone to pick up, my Pentagon briefing this morning is about the Defense Authorization Act. Specifically Section 847, Anti-Discrimination Protocols for Military Contractors. The words hit like a sledgehammer. Defense contractors. Like the parent company that owned Sunrise Coffee. The company that held $12 million in Pentagon contracts. The contracts that could disappear if discrimination was documented, which it had been, live. To 67,000 viewers. Marcus smiled one final time. Have a good day, everyone. He climbed into the helicopter and it lifted off, leaving behind a coffee shop full of people who finally understood exactly how much trouble they were in. The helicopter's rotor wash settled into memory, but the silence it left behind screamed louder than any engine. Karen Phillips stood frozen behind the counter, her manager training completely useless for this situation. Military contractor discrimination, documented live, to 67,000 viewers. Her phone started ringing. Corporate headquarters. Her hands shook as she answered. Sunrise Coffee, Boulder location. This is Karen. Karen Phillips? The voice was sharp, executive-level authority. This is David Chen, Regional Vice President. We need to talk, now. Sir, I can explain. Explain what? How you just cost us a $12 million Defense Department contract on live television? The coffee shop customers could hear every word through Karen's phone speaker. Sarah kept her live stream running. 68,000 viewers and climbing. Sir, the individual was dressed inappropriately. The individual was Colonel Marcus Thompson, chair of the Defense Infrastructure Planning Committee, the same committee that reviews our Pentagon food service contracts annually. Karen's world collapsed in real time. You discriminated against the person who literally decides whether we keep our military contracts. Do you understand the magnitude of this situation? Bradley Martinez had gone completely pale. His stolen valor accusations against the committee chair would end his career and possibly trigger a federal investigation. Mr. Chen, Karen stammered, perhaps we can resolve this quietly. Quietly? It's been viewed 70,000 times in the last 5 minutes. It's trending on 3 platforms. The Pentagon switchboard is fielding calls from reporters. Sarah's chat exploded with real-time updates. Trending #1 on TikTok. CNN picking it up. Coffee shop about to be destroyed. Justice is served hot. David Chen's voice turned ice cold. Karen, I need you to listen very carefully. Sunrise Coffee's parent company, Mountain View Hospitality, holds contracts worth $47 million annually with various government agencies. Colonel Thompson's committee oversees $12 million of that. He paused, letting the numbers sink in. Our Pentagon contract requires compliance with Federal Regulation 32 CFR 282.4, Military Anti-Discrimination Protocols. Any documented violation triggers automatic review. Karen felt sick. What does that mean? It means we have 72 hours to demonstrate corrective action, or we lose the contract. Permanently. The coffee shop customers exchanged nervous glances. This had escalated beyond social media drama into actual economic consequences. Furthermore, Chen continued, DoD Directive 1350.2 requires all military contractors to maintain zero-tolerance discrimination policies. Your actions constitute a direct violation. Bradley's radio crackled. Unit 247, report to Chief Morrison's office immediately. His commanding officer wanted to see him. The same Colonel Hayes who'd spoken to Marcus like an equal was probably briefing the chief right now. Sir, Karen tried again, what do you need me to do? First, damage control. You're going to issue a public apology, on camera, to be posted on all company social media platforms. Yes, sir. Second, mandatory sensitivity training for all staff. Not online modules, actual in-person workshops conducted by military diversity specialists. Sarah's livestream viewers were loving this corporate meltdown in real time. Make her apologize. Sensitivity training, LOL, corporate justice. 73K viewers now. Third, Chen's voice carried the weight of a death sentence. You're implementing the military appreciation protocol immediately. What's that? Something we're creating right now to save our contracts. No military ID verification required, ever. 15% discount for anyone claiming veteran status. No questions asked. Karen scribbled notes frantically. Anything else? Yes. You're personally meeting with Colonel Thompson to apologize face-to-face, if he's willing to accept it. The likelihood of that seemed microscopic. Tommy Rodriguez's radio buzzed again. All security personnel report for emergency briefing regarding military relations protocols. Everyone was getting called in. The incident had rippled through every level of authority. Derek Williams quietly slipped toward the exit, hoping to avoid any corporate accountability for his participation. But Karen's phone conversation wasn't finished. Mr. Chen, she asked desperately, what are the real consequences if we lose the Pentagon contract? Boulder location alone? You're looking at 47% customer base impact. Military families will boycott. Word spreads fast in military communities. He paused for effect. Financially, this location generates $2.3 million annually. 47% of that is $1.08 million. You'd be forced to close within 6 months. The mathematics of discrimination were brutal. Company-wide, we'd lose $12 million in direct Pentagon contracts. But the reputation damage? Military contractors talk. We'd be blacklisted from future government work. Total potential impact, $47 million annually. Sarah's viewers were doing the math in real time. $47 million for being racist. Coffee shop canceled. Karma is expensive. 75K viewers. Melissa Torres, the Instagram influencer, had stopped recording entirely. Her 50,000 followers were already questioning her judgment for participating in the mob mentality. Karen, Chen's voice turned deadly serious. I need you to understand something. Colonel Thompson could destroy our company with one phone call. The fact that he said no formal complaints is the only reason we're still in business. He's being merciful? He's being professional, which is more than you were. The corporate hammer was falling fast. You have 4 hours to implement the military appreciation protocol. You have 24 hours to complete mandatory training for all staff. You have 48 hours to post a formal apology video. Karen scribbled desperately. Yes, sir, understood. And Karen, if there's one more incident, any incident, involving military discrimination at your location, you're terminated immediately. No warnings, no appeals. The line went dead. Karen stared at her silent phone, realizing her 15-year management career hung by the thread of one colonel's mercy. Bradley's radio crackled again. Unit 247, expedite to headquarters, priority 1. He looked around the coffee shop that had become his career graveyard. 75,000 people had watched him falsely accuse a Pentagon official of stolen valor. His phone buzzed with a text from his sergeant. Internal Affairs wants to see you. Bring union rep. Internal Affairs. For accusing a colonel of stolen valor on live television. Sarah finally ended her live stream after 78,000 viewers watched corporate America scramble to avoid the consequences of discrimination. Her final comment to the camera, Guys, I think we just learned that actions have consequences. Real ones. The coffee shop emptied slowly, customers slipping away like witnesses fleeing a crime scene. Because they'd all participated in attacking someone who turned out to be exactly who he claimed to be. And the bill for that mistake was $47 million. 72 hours later, Sunrise Coffee looked like a corporate rehabilitation center. A hand-painted sign hung beside the entrance. Heroes welcome. All veterans honored here. Below it, smaller text. No ID required. Service recognized through respect. Karen Phillips stood behind the counter at Oro 700 hours, wearing a crisp new uniform with military appreciation pins. Dark circles under her eyes told the story of 3 sleepless nights implementing emergency protocols. The morning rush brought familiar faces, but the atmosphere had changed completely. Bradley Martinez entered in civilian clothes, no longer wearing his police uniform. His suspension pending internal affairs review had made local news. He approached the counter with visible uncertainty. Coffee, black, he said quietly. And I owe you an apology. Karen nodded. No charge for veterans. New policy. I was wrong about... Bradley struggled with words. I judged him. I judged you too, when you were just trying to support what you thought was right. The interaction was different now. Humbler. More human. Sarah Chen worked the morning shift again, but her TikTok had evolved. Instead of random live streams, she now posted educational content about military service and unconscious bias. Her follower count had jumped to 85,000. People wanted to learn from the coffee shop incident. Did you hear? Sarah whispered to Karen. Colonel Thompson's Pentagon briefing got coverage in Military Times. They passed new anti-discrimination guidelines for all defense contractors. The ripple effects kept spreading. Tommy Rodriguez returned from his emergency retraining seminar with a completely different approach to security protocols. Instead of immediate confrontation, the new procedures emphasized de-escalation and assumption checking. Ask questions first. Make judgments never, he explained to the new hire. People aren't always what they appear to be. At 07:30, an unexpected visitor arrived. Colonel Marcus Thompson walked through the door wearing the same worn jeans and faded hoodie, but this time the entire coffee shop recognized him immediately. Complete silence fell. Marcus approached the counter where Karen waited, hands trembling slightly. "Colonel Thompson," she began, "I prepared a formal apology." "Not necessary," Marcus said calmly. "I'm just here for coffee." "Sir, it's on the house. Always. New military appreciation policy." Marcus studied the hand-painted sign, the veteran hiring announcement, the mandatory bias training certificates displayed prominently. "Impressive changes," he said. "How's the staff adjustment going?" "Everyone completed sensitivity training. We partnered with the Veterans Affairs Office for ongoing education. Monthly workshops now." Marcus nodded approvingly. "And business impact?" Karen's relief was visible. "Surprisingly positive. Military families are returning. The Heroes Welcome policy actually increased our veteran customer base by 23%. The mathematics of respect worked better than the mathematics of discrimination." "Colonel," Karen continued hesitantly, "may I ask what happened with your Pentagon briefing?" Marcus accepted his coffee. Black, simple, paid for with exact change. "We implemented new federal contractor accountability standards. Any documented discrimination against military personnel triggers immediate contract review." He sipped his coffee thoughtfully. "Your corporate response became the model for how businesses should handle these situations. Quick acknowledgement, concrete changes, systematic reform." Karen blinked in surprise. "We became a model?" Mountain View Hospitality retained all government contracts. But more importantly, you created lasting change. The coffee shop had transformed from cautionary tale to success story. Bradley approached hesitantly. "Colonel Thompson, sir, I need to say something." Marcus turned, expression neutral. "I was wrong, sir. Not just about you specifically, but about my whole approach. I let assumptions drive my actions instead of letting facts guide my decisions." "And what did you learn, Officer Martinez?" "That good policing means asking questions, not making accusations. That service members come in all appearances. That my job is protecting people, not judging them." Marcus extended his hand. "Lessons learned the hard way stick longer." They shook hands, veteran to veteran, professional to professional. "Sir," Bradley added, "I'm using my suspension time for additional training. Unconscious bias workshops, de-escalation techniques, community relations." "Good. Growth requires uncomfortable self-examination." Derek Williams entered with his construction crew, heads down, clearly uncomfortable. He'd spent 3 days dealing with online criticism for his nephew comment. "Colonel," Derek said quietly, "I owe you an apology too. I used my family's sacrifice as a weapon instead of honoring it properly." Marcus's expression softened slightly. "Your nephew's sacrifice was real. Your grief was real. But pain shouldn't be used to justify attacking others." "I learned that, sir, the hard way." Sarah finished serving another customer and approached. "Colonel Thompson, I wanted to thank you." "For what?" "For showing us what dignity looks like under pressure. My live stream went viral, but for the right reasons now. People are sharing it as an example of how to handle discrimination professionally." The video had been viewed 2.3 million times across platforms. Comment sections had evolved from mob justice to thoughtful discussions about bias and assumptions. "Social media can amplify problems or solutions," Marcus observed. "You chose to amplify solutions." At 0800, Marcus headed toward the door. But this time, instead of helicopter rotors, a simple black sedan waited outside. "Colonel," Karen called after him, "will you—" Will you come back? Marcus paused. Every Tuesday, 0730 hours. I have a standing Pentagon briefing at 0900. He smiled, the first genuinely warm expression anyone had seen from him. Besides, you make decent coffee, and the company has improved considerably. As Marcus left, the coffee shop returned to normal operations. But normal had been redefined. Veterans received genuine appreciation instead of suspicious scrutiny. Staff asked questions instead of making assumptions. Customers thought twice before judging strangers. The hero's welcome sign wasn't just marketing, it represented a fundamental shift in how the business approached human dignity. And every Tuesday at 0730, a Pentagon colonel in worn jeans reminded everyone that respect isn't about appearance. It's about recognition that service comes in many forms, and heroes don't always look like heroes. Sometimes they just look like people getting coffee before work. 6 months later, the story had evolved far beyond one coffee shop confrontation. The Sunrise Incident, as military blogs called it, became required viewing at West Point's leadership seminars. Business schools analyzed Mountain View Hospitality's crisis response as a textbook case in corporate accountability. Sarah Chen's follow-up documentary, The Colonel in Disguise, Lessons in Unconscious Bias, won the Military Family Film Festival. Her platform grew to 400,000 followers who engaged with real-life stories about assumptions, respect, and the hidden heroes among us. These touching stories reminded viewers that life stories often hide beneath surface appearances, that Black stories of discrimination can transform into stories of redemption and growth when people choose learning over defensiveness. Bradley Martinez completed his suspension and returned to duty with a completely transformed approach. His community policing methods became a model for the department. He now runs bias awareness workshops for new recruits, sharing his own story as a cautionary tale about assumptions. I learned that good officers protect everyone's dignity, he tells trainees, even when, especially when, they don't look like what we expect. Karen Phillips earned a corporate promotion for her crisis management and reform implementation. The Boulder location became Mountain View Hospitality's flagship for military appreciation programs. But the real changes ran deeper than corporate policies. Derek Williams hired 3 veterans at his construction company, focusing on skills over appearance. My nephew would be proud, he told his wife. We're honoring service through opportunity, not just words. Tommy Rodriguez left security work to become a Veterans Affairs counselor, specializing in helping former service members navigate civilian assumptions and discrimination. Melissa Torres transformed her Instagram influence into advocacy, sharing real-life stories of veteran experiences and challenging followers to examine their own biases before posting judgment. The coffee shop itself had become an unofficial community center. Veterans gathered Tuesday mornings not just for the discount, but for the respect. Word spread through military networks. Sunrise Coffee gets it. Colonel Marcus Thompson continued his Tuesday routine, arriving at 0730 in casual clothes for black coffee before Pentagon briefings. But his presence served a larger purpose, reminding everyone that heroes walk among us daily, often unrecognized. His Defense Infrastructure Planning Committee used the Sunrise model to create nationwide anti-discrimination protocols. Over 1,200 military contractors adopted similar policies within 6 months. The original live stream video became educational material for diversity training programs across corporate America. Comment sections evolved from mob justice to thoughtful discourse about implicit bias and the importance of questioning assumptions. Sarah's most popular follow-up video featured interviews with all the participants 6 months later. The transformation was remarkable. People who had participated in mob judgment became advocates for dignity and respect. Sometimes the most powerful change happens when we admit we were wrong, Sarah concluded, and when we choose growth over defensiveness. The statistics told a compelling story. Mountain View Hospitality's military contractor revenue increased 34% as word spread about their authentic commitment to veteran respect. The Boulder location's revenue jumped 28%, as military families chose businesses that honored their service authentically. More importantly, the incident sparked conversations in communities nationwide. Military spouse Facebook groups shared the video as a discussion starter about civilian-military understanding. Corporate training programs incorporated the case study into bias awareness curricula. Colonel Thompson's assessment proved accurate. Systemic change required uncomfortable self-examination, but the results created lasting positive impact. The real power of this story lies not in one man's quiet strength, but in an entire community's willingness to learn, grow, and change. These real-life stories, from corporate boardrooms to police training academies, demonstrate that authentic transformation begins with acknowledging our assumptions and choosing respect over judgment. Because the most touching stories aren't always about dramatic confrontations. Sometimes they're about ordinary people choosing extraordinary grace under pressure, and communities deciding to become better versions of themselves. Every Tuesday at 7:30, a Pentagon colonel still gets coffee in worn jeans. But now he's surrounded by a community that has learned to see service behind appearance, dignity behind assumptions, and heroes behind everyday facades. The lesson echoes beyond one coffee shop. Real power isn't about proving who you are. It's about inspiring others to question who they think you are.